Windows. One of the things that I did that I actually forgot to do in this run of the experiment is, in the previous version, I opened the clock in Windows 3.1 and had it down here at the bottom corner, and when I upgrade to Windows 95 and open up the clock, it opened up in the exact same spot. So we're going to see if that happens here with Windows 95. See if we upgrade to 98 and if opening the clock will actually, you know, open up in the exact same spot.
Windows
but yeah,
XP
I'm
from
thinking that
Microsoft,
this
the
calendar
new
program
version
and
of
the card
Windows
file
that brings
program
your
are the
PC
older
to
versions
life.
of this program, because
Experience
these do
the
look
best.
exactly like the
Experience
versions
Windows
that
XP.
were in 1.0 and 2.0, and I would think
Best
Microsoft
for
would have
business.
updated them for 95. Because
Windows
they even
XP
upgraded the program
Professional
manager. I
shines
mean,
as
the
a
program
business
manager in 95
operating
is not the
system.
same as in Windows
Get
3.1.
more work done
One thing we can
faster,
also do is
easier,
go
and
to the root of the C drive and actually try to open up these files that we created. So let's go ahead, and the C drive is right here. So we have Win31. This is the paint file, so you can see that obviously still opens up. So here it is. And then this right here is the which is now WordPad document, and it says this was written in Windows 3.1, and we can add to that and opened in Windows 95, and we can save that. It's going to ask you have to save it in a different format because the WRI format, I guess, is not used anymore, so we have to save it. Let's just save it as a .txt file, so we'll save that. So now we've got win31.wri and win31. This is the one that's actually been modified. So I think that we're ready, guys. Let's go ahead and pop in the Windows 98 CD-ROM. I'll go ahead and show that to you guys again. There it is. So we'll go ahead and pop that in. And when we insert, it's going to ask you if you want to upgrade to Windows 98. We're going to say yes. And we're going to jump right into the setup. And you can see even here in the Windows 98 setup, those custom colors that we applied in Windows 3.1 are still taking effect. Even with the progress bar, it was green there, as you guys saw. So we're going to accept the license agreement. And our product key is actually on the back of this CD case. And so right here, it's going to ask us if you want to save your existing MS-DOS and Windows system files. We're going to say yes, because we absolutely want to save these files. And so we're just going to go through these prompts here. We're obviously here in the US. We're going to not create a startup disk. It's going to ask us if we want to do this. We're just going to say cancel because we don't need a startup disk, and we're going to begin copying files. Alright, so the setup has almost completed. We're here at the very last phase where it is updating system settings. And there we go, guys. We're restarting. We've got the Windows 98 boot screen, which is pretty awesome. And once again, we have our same preferences that we set back in Windows 3.1. We've got the yellow title bar, the black title bar text, and the orange background. Alright, so here we are, guys. We've got the Windows 98 little welcome window here. We're going to close out of that. We have our channel guide, over here. So that is, a program that Windows 98 introduced. Now we did actually get some more icons on the desktop. Now going into the start menu and into programs, we can go into the applications folder again, which once again contains all of our pre-Windows 3.1 programs. We're going to try to launch ConvertPaint. And it says Windows cannot run this program. That is kind of unfortunate. Now we can launch like a Microsoft QBasic. I mean, this is a MS-DOS program. I mean, we can actually load this up, and you can see that the copyright date is 87 to 92, meaning that Windows 98 did not touch this. So that is QBasic. We can obviously launch that. One of the other programs that we have is MSAV, which is Microsoft antivirus. And this right here is a Windows, this is not a Windows 98 program. We can go ahead and go to About Antivirus. You see it's Microsoft Antivirus for Windows, copyright 1993. So this is most likely a Windows 3.1 application. But yeah, this is basically, just a virus scanner, for Windows. So that is a program that does open up. And you can see that the title bar and everything is a little bit different, in a little bit of a different design. It kind of looks more similar to Windows 3.1. Just the way that it looks. I mean, I can open up a my computer window, and you can see they just kind of look a little bit different, like the actual border around them. So yeah, that is definitely a Windows 3.1 program. We can also, let's see what else we got in here. We once again have card file and calendar. We can open this up. Card file looks exactly the same. And going into help and about, it's probably, yeah, so now it says Windows 98. So this is just probably pulling the generic about screen from Windows 98, because this is literally the exact same program. The same thing with calendar. These programs are not normally in the accessories folder. So this calendar program right here, yep, you can see that it is exactly the same as it was before, just with a different about box. So we do have a couple of programs from older versions of Windows that do still open up. What I also want to do is go into the C drive here and go into Windows, and I want to actually check out some of those other programs in here. And this MJD file right here is the MSP file that we created using the older version of Paintbrush. You can see it even says it's a Paintbrush picture. But when we open it, it says that Windows cannot run this program. Most likely it's trying to open up the old Paint program because it is still like recognizing it as a Paintbrush file, or as a like older, you know, Paint program file. MS-DOS here, this is the MS-DOS executive. This still does not launch. It says it's not a valid Win32 application. We still don't have any compatibility mode options in here. We do still have the Program Manager in here. We can open this up and go to About Program Manager, and you can see now it just says Windows 98 here, but it's got the same logo from Windows 3.1. So we can, now we don't have any of our program groups though. You can see that all our program groups actually got wiped, but we can make a new program group if we want to. Let's just call this main. And so there we go. So we now have a new program group. So we can just kind of leave that there and just see if when we reopen that in a newer version of Windows, if it retains the same program group. What I also want to do is open up the clock program, because if you guys remember, I moved it to the bottom left corner of the screen in Windows 95 before I updated to 98. So it actually does not retain exactly where it was, which is what happened in the previous video from Windows 3.1 to 95, which is kind of unfortunate, but it still launches. And I'm pretty sure this clock program is not a Windows 98 program. It will still say it's a Windows 98 clock, but this is like the same about screen that shows up for card file and calendar, and those are definitely not Windows 98 programs. So it has retained a couple of files. Reversi, I'm sure, is not going to work, which is going to kind of suck. Yep, it's not going to launch, so that is really annoying, but definitely, you know, pretty awesome. Now, I think what I'm going to do, I know I said earlier that we're going to jump to 98 SE, but honestly, Windows 98 and 98 SE are based on the same release of Windows. That, yes, updating to it, we could do it, but honestly, I think I'm just going to upgrade to Windows ME, because I've got the Windows ME disk right here. So honestly, we're just going to try to jump straight from 98 First Edition to Windows ME. So we'll see if you know, how that works for us. If you guys want to see the 98 SE from 98 First Edition upgrade process, you can check out my original video on this whole experiment, because I did do it in that video. But the setup process is literally exactly the same. I mean, there's not really a whole lot that's been changed, especially design-wise. It's pretty much an identical setup process. So we're going to go into my computer here, and we should now have the Windows ME disk. Before we actually jump into that, though, let's actually check the status of our hard drive. So we are currently using 344 megabytes of the 1.99 gigs that the hard drive is partitioned as. And we can obviously expand this, and we're going to have to for later releases. So we're just going to go ahead and press next here. We're going to agree to the license agreement and type in our product key, and we're going to once again install to the C Windows directory. So right here is where it's going to ask you if you want to save your existing system files. We're going to say yes, because we definitely want to do that. So just like the Windows 98 setup, the Windows ME setup is going to ask us to create a startup disk. We're going to click cancel because we don't need to do that. And here we go. We're going to click on finish to allow the setup program to begin copying files. Alright, so we've restarted into the second phase of the setup, and this is kind of the last phase where it's going to be setting up hardware and all of that good stuff. You see we've got about 19 minutes remaining on the clock there. Alright, so here we are booted into Windows ME, and you can see that once again we have that orange background. One thing we don't have though is the yellow kind of highlighted text that would appear on all of the icons. However, we do have the green color when we select items. So opening up the start menu here, if we go into programs, and you can see once again that green highlighted color is still showing up in here as well. Under applications, we have the Convert Paint utility, which is probably not going to launch, and yeah, you can see that's still not going to launch. Let's go ahead and launch the antivirus program, because this did open, and you can see it still opens up here in Windows ME. If we go to Help and About, can see this still has the same about window, copyright 1993. We'll click on OK. Now you'll notice that the title bar here has a bit of a gradient effect going on. I don't believe this was the case in the previous installations of Windows 95 and 98. It was just a solid yellow color. Now we'll open up an Explorer window and see if that takes effect as well. And you can see that it does, once again, with the same gradient effect. So Windows ME has kind of added a bit of a gradient to the title bar, but the text is still black. Now